Hey guys, and welcome back to another Access 72 video, and in today's video I'm back with another interview and I'm here with Alex Murphy. Alex, how are we?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you, mate. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate that.
It is a pleasure to have you on. And so, am I right in saying you're 21, you're a lightweight, and you're 4-0?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, if you're on around here and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do need like video, and let's get straight into it. So, the question which I always like to start off with is, why did you get into boxing?
So I got into boxing originally through football. So it was just for the fitness. Now I started playing football when I was 6 years old, and I started boxing when I was 8. Reason being, the coach at the time of the football team when I was 8 had his own boxing gym, so he took the whole team down one night a week, just for a bit of training for the fitness, and that was in a gym in Bolton. Like I say, it was just one night a week, and after the first session, every week all the team started dropping off slowly, but I enjoyed it, so I stuck at it. I did it for about 2 years, once a week, and then so when I was 10, that gym closed down, and obviously I'm from Salford, so it was a bit of a travel anyway. But that gym closed down, and then we seen a flyer then pop up in like the neighbourhood, basically saying new gym opening, Eccles Boxing School, and so I went down. And I've been there ever since, mate. And that's where like it went a bit more serious then, because the gym in Bolton, like I say, it was more of a fitness gym. They didn't have anyone competing or nothing. And then this new gym wanted us competing. So yeah, when I was 12, I had my first fight, and I stuck to the football. I balanced them both up until I was 18, and then I stopped the football then and cracked on with the boxing.
No, that's great. It's a similar story to what I've heard from a few people, where it's like they just go there for the fitness and they just end up getting hooked, and it seems like it was the same with you.
Yeah, it is. It's mad. It's life changing. A lot of people I've spoken to in the sport have been the same as me. They've just started for a little hobby, or they've started for the fitness, self defense, whatever it is. And it's a bit of an addiction, boxing. You get, and then once you get that bug, then it takes off a little bit.
Definitely, yes. And so, do you remember then? You spoke about how about 10 you ended up moving to the closer gym, and it was a bit more competitive. And so, do you remember what happened in your first amateur fight?
Yeah. So I was 12 when I had my first amateur fight. It was at I think it was at Lee in Lee Civic Hall or something it was called. And I was 46 kilos when I had my first fight, and I lost my first one. I boxed a kid, to be fair, who had 7 fights. Don't know where the matchmaking came from. It was my first one. Put me with a kid who had 7. And I always remember the first round I got an hiding. Second round was a bit close, and then the third round I came on strong, and I definitely won the round. And then, but obviously it was too late by the third round. I had lost the fight, but it was a great experience. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of people come down and watch, and it was a bit of a buzz. And like I said, I was only 12 years old, so I was a kid, but I just remember, being addicted to it, and after it saying, I want another one straight away.
No, that's great. And so you then spoke about how you wanted another one straight away. And so how many amateur fights did you end up racking up?
So I ended up having 30 amateur fights in the end, which, when you think about it, I only turned pro last year at the age of 20, so I started competing when I was 12. So in the space of 8 years, I only had 30. So it's not actually that many. But it was enough just to gain the experience, and it set me in good stead then for when I turned to the pro ranks.
Definitely. And so did you, in that 30 fights, get any well-known achievements?
Well, it was funny with me because I never actually entered any out of the 30 fights. They were all club shows. Reason being is, obviously, like I say, that gym that first opened, it was like a brand new gym. So the coach Brian, he had just sort of come onto the amateur scene as well as me, so he was learning. So he'd never entered his boxing into the championships. I think it was just mainly because he didn't really know how, or he didn't know what he was doing. So I only boxed on sort of the club shows. So I'm not one of these boxers who can say, I was national champion 10 times, regional champion, all that. I didn't achieve any of that. my biggest achievement in the amateurs, I'd say, was just me. It was my last fight that I had. It was my first senior. I only had one senior fight out of all the 30, and I remember it was at the Lighthouse Church in Salford, so it was a local venue, and I brought a big crowd with me. I think it's funny because in the amateurs, it's not about selling tickets, is it? But I think I sold about 60 tickets for the show, and in the amateurs, it's pretty unheard of. And I remember, mate, I had like a big following. It was my first one without an head guard. You know, the people who came and watched were chanting my name, and I'm like, it was like a pro show. And then obviously it was only an amateur show, and I got the win. And then what it was is lockdown hit, then COVID hit, so we turned over. But that achievement in itself of just being able to do that as an amateur, definitely, you know, was something I was proud of.
Yeah, and it's good that has happened for you, that experience. I know it was 60 fans for the amateurs is big, but for maybe for like a pro game, maybe it isn't as big. But to have something at that kind of point in your career, I'd imagine, like maybe later on down the line when you have like these really big fights with loads of fans, you can keep more composed, and you're more used to it, because I mean some fighters might not be able to sell that many tickets in the amateurs, and so when they get to the pro game they're not quite used to being under the lights and with loads of fans. But it's good you got that early experience. Yeah,
definitely, because I think it did help me out a lot. Because the pro game is all about selling tickets, and you've got to be able to handle the pressure in front of a crowd. So because I had the experience of that in my last amateur fight, when I went into my first pro fight, like because in my first pro fight I ended up selling 250 tickets. Wow. Obviously it's a massive jump. I had a couple of years to build a fan base, get a following, and then when I was in front of the 250 fans, it was no different to how I remembered it in front of the 60 that came to my last amateur fight. The same, chanting my name, and it's just little stuff like that you get used to, and you're able to use it, for your own good. But so I had the good experience in the amateurs, and it set me in good stead for the pros, definitely.
Great. And so you've now had a little bit of time in the pros. You've had the 4 wins, and so which fight would you say you've performed your best in?
Probably my last one, actually. My fourth one. I'm happy with all my performances personally. Out of all the 4 fights, I'm happy with my performance. I think there's still, better to come. 100%. I'm going to improve and grow as I go on in my career. I'd like to get a stoppage in one of them. All 4 have been on point, so there's definitely more to come. But I think just going off the opinions of everyone who came and watched, I probably had about 6, 7 or 8 people say to me that last one was my best performance. So I'll have to go off the opinions of the supporters, and say that last one was probably my best performance.
No, that's great. It's good to see that you are improving over time. I mean, certain fighters might have like an off day or something like that, but so far you've been very consistent in improving, which is good to see.
Like I say, I've been happy with performances, and I think just because I work so hard in training and everything leads up to that one fight, and like I say, I'm okay under the pressure. I'm okay under the spotlight. It's just a day at the office, for me. So I really enjoy the boxing nights. I don't let anything get to me. So like I say, I know if I've put the hard work in, I am going to perform good. So I'm happy so far.
Definitely great. And so you spoke about how it's just so far, and that kind of leads me on to when will you next be fighting again?
So my next fight is only around the corner, 7th of October. So I think it will be 2 weeks on Friday. We're on Tuesday today, aren't we, when we're doing this interview? So it will be 2 weeks on Friday, 7th of October, which is a pretty quick turnaround, obviously, from my last one. My last one was the 20th of August, so 7 weeks, space of 7 weeks, I'm fighting again. But, it keeps me active. It's what I want. I think after this one, I'm going to get rested now until early next year, February, March time. Just straight back out, hopefully get another win under my belt, and then enjoy my Christmas, and go again in the new year.
No, that's great, and it's good to see that you're active. But in that 7 week period, have you changed anything than what you've been doing before, or is it the very kind of similar kind of things to just in the way of camp and stuff like that?
Well, you know what? This camp has changed massively because I've just been over to Portugal. Actually, I've been over there sparring and training. I got invited down. Everything paid for, flights, hotel. So yeah, I've been there all last week. So obviously I've been away from my coach, but been getting quality sparring. So yeah, that was a change in the camp. But it was only going to benefit me. Dillian White was there on one of the days. On the Thursday, came in and watched the sparring, and I think after the third round, he made a beeline over to me and walked over to me, and he did me corner for me and gave me loads of help and loads of advice. And the advice that he's given me, it's going to stick with me. And I'm going to take it into the fight. And this is what I say about how, obviously, we're only at the start of my career, so I'm going to improve as we go on. So, the more I learn, the better I'm going to get. And I'm only 21, so probably going to be in the sport till I'm, 30, 32, 35, hopefully, fingers crossed. So, the improvement from now till then is going to be massive. So I've just got to, stay switched on, keep learning, keep listening, and and like I say, the best is yet to come.
Definitely, and it's great to hear that you've been with Dillian White, and what a good guy to learn from. There's not too many better.
No, exactly. He's massive, Dillian White, isn't he? He's a big name in the sport, and he's mixed it with the best, and he's up there, So to get advice from him, and for him to watch me spar, and then come back and tell me what I should do and what I should work on, you don't get much better than that, do you?
Definitely. And in the previous answers, you've spoke a bit about how the pro game is a lot more about selling tickets than the amateur game, and so that kind of leads me on to my question of why should people come and watch you? What makes you different?
I'm not going to go. I'm not going to. I reckon everyone will say the same answer and say, "Oh, I'm an exciting fighter. Everyone should come and watch me." And I believe I am. I'm always in entertaining fights. But I think the main thing, what sets me aside from everyone else, is the following that I have. I've already got a great following. The night itself, I make sure everyone who comes, is going to have a good night. They're chanting, if they're all going, and having a drink and enjoying it, and then I'll make sure I've got something set up for afterwards, everywhere to go for like an after party or something. Like I don't just make it out just everyone come and watch me. I make sure I put on a good night for everyone, and we can all enjoy it. And yeah, it's just the following that I've got. There's not many boxers out there at my stage who I think can match it. With the following, the tickets that I sell, the chanting. It's like I feel like for where I am now, I've got a great following already, and you don't see it as much at this stage. So that's only going to grow and grow. I can promise everyone who does come and support me, come and watch me, that they're not going to be disappointed. They're going to have a good night.
And definitely seemingly get their money's worth from what it seems.
100%, yeah, 100%. All my fights have been entertaining. I'm one of them fighters because I'm a come forward fighter. I don't mind taking a punch, to give free. I never really play it safe. I probably should do. It'd be a bit smart if I played it safe, but that's just not me. I like to come forward and I like to have a bit of a battle. So everyone definitely gets the money's worth, and they all enjoy it. It's like everyone who came and watched. A lot of people who come and watch my first fight, they're still coming watching this fifth fight. So I'm doing something right. So it's always a good night.
Great. And so you are right at the start of your career at the moment, only 21 years old, and so you've got a seemingly long way to go. You said you want to be in the sport till the 30s, and so how far do you believe you can go?
Honestly, I believe I can go all the way. I believe I will one day be world champion, because I've got that mentality of I'm not going to stop until I am. I believe I've got the talent. I believe I've got the mindset, the people around me. And I'm switched on for such a young lad. I am really switched on with it all, and I'm not stupid. I know it's going to be hard. I know I might get setbacks, I might get disappointments, but I'm in it for the long run. I'm not just in it to win all my fights and then I retire dead early. I'm here for a long time. I'm here till, like I say, in my 30s, and I'll slowly progress, slowly climb up the rankings, and I'm not going to stop, mate, until I get to the top. and yeah, hopefully become, you know, world champion one day. I'll be happy if I become world champion, mate, and I've got an house and a car and, you know, everything, and I've got a bit of money behind there.
Yeah.
I'll happily retire then. But until then, I'm still here.
That's great, and it's cool to see the self-belief you have in yourself. It's a very important thing to have in the sport. And so I'd imagine, well, obviously if you want to get to that world title level, you have to face some world title contenders. And so if you could possibly give me, if you have one, a dream opponent of yours.
A dream opponent. I mean, I'm in no position to call anyone out. You know, I'm only 21, very start of my career. But a dream opponent would probably just be, you know, someone who's got a big name. You know, who can lift my name. I know a local lad, Campbell Hatton. He's got a massive name, and I can see that fight happening definitely in the future. When, you know, I think he's 7-0 now, I'm 4-0, soon to be 5-0. So you know, maybe when we're both 15, 20-0, it's going to be a massive British title fight, or even bigger, even a world title fight. But yeah, you know, somebody like that, just anybody really who's got a big name, where I'm going to be an underdog, you know, and I'm gonna do the business and win and shock everyone.
That's great. It's good to see that you are open to take any challenges. You're not trying to pick and choose your opponents. You're just wanting the challenges.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm one of them as well. I feel like I'll fight anybody in this sport. I'm not going to be one who's going to cherry pick my opponents and try and have an easy route to the top.
Yeah.
And if I've got to take hard fights somewhere, you know, early on or somewhere down the career, then, you know, I'll take the hard fights if I feel like it's going to benefit me. Then, you know, I'll do it. I'm not going to shy away from it, because, like I say, I really want to get to the top of the sport. So you've got to take the hard fights to get there. So yeah, I'm definitely all for it.
That's great. Okay, well, we'll leave it with this final question, which I always like to ask. You've got a little bit of a platform here. Would you like to shout anything out?
Yes, definitely. You know, I want to shout out everyone who comes and follows me, all my supporters who buys tickets. Nobody goes unnoticed, you know, I promise you that. Everyone who continues to get tickets, all my new supporters, you know, I really do appreciate it. Massive thank you to my sponsors. I'm just going to shout my sponsors out now. I'm going to get them up on my phone just so I don't miss anybody out. But yeah, sponsors, mate, are so important. You know, they help me. I train full time, and without the sponsors, I couldn't do it. I'd have to go and get a job, and, you know, it'd affect my career. So sponsors are a massive part. So I just want to say a massive thank you to GDL Solutions, Lucas Boxing 1-to-1, Salford Grab Hire, the Mawson Group, Buildings to Clean, Capricorn Security, Fairmont Recruitment, Dreams to Reality, Roof Kings, Clear Vision Wealth Management, and Lee Marks Fitness PT.
Alright, great.
So yeah, big thank you to them.
Great, okay, well.
And anybody as well, sorry, final thing. Anybody wants to check out my Instagram, AlexMurphy_boxing. You know, I put all my content on there, and as well them sponsors that I've just mentioned. You know, you can find their pages through my platform.
That's great. Okay, well, thank you very much for doing this interview, mate.
No worries, thank you for having me. Yeah, also everyone, you know, go and subscribe to Axel72. He's putting on some great content out there. So yeah, give him a like, give him a follow.
Thank you, mate. A pleasure. And maybe in a few years when you're fighting for some belts, we can come back and do a return interview.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I'd be happy with that, yeah.
Great. Okay, well, if you are new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do indeed like the video, and thanks for watching.